All right. Good morning, sir. Thank you for honoring this invitation. I'm sincerely grateful for the time and this opportunity to interview you regarding the work you're doing in the sphere of family life
Thank
and aspects of life in general. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure being here with you as well.
Thank you. And thank you, everybody. People have not really come online yet, but I know people are going to join and people are going to watch the recording as well. So thank you everybody for taking out time to watch and listen to this interview. So this is actually an interview. I'm just fascinated by the work that Mr Praise is doing. I'm really keen and interested in knowing like not really everything, but if possible, like almost everything that he is doing in the sphere of family life because I always tell people family is my bias. And
Mhm.
just when I was trying to like really understand the aspect of family life, I found Mr. Praise Fowowe. I was so grateful when I found him online. So thank you everybody and thank you, sir, for joining this interview. So
Thank
we're
you.
going to the questions. Um, sir, could you please share a bit about yourself and your background?
Okay, my name is Praise Fowowe. I was born 16 September 1978 to a family of seven children. My father was an Anglican priest, so I pretty much grew up in church, following my father everywhere. And my earliest memory of myself was trying to interject and interrupt my father's counseling session and how they would chase me out because I felt maybe I was too forward at things like that. And along the line, I was a victim of sexual molestation, I think at the age of 4, and that went on for like 8 years. So by 12, I was totally a wreck. I had no self-esteem. I was totally, not in tune with myself. At 14, I'd become a sex addict. I totally lost control of myself. So then I got into uni. I was studying accounting, and somehow I got talking to myself again, and I felt, okay, God was speaking to me and he wanted to do something for me. So, and then basically my change process started when I was going to become the music director in my fellowship. But that was a problem. I mean, I had gotten saved, but I was dealing and struggling with a whole lot of things. And there were 82 ladies in choir. And so I had to decide to fast and pray every day. September 1998, I think. I said I wouldn't stop until God spoke to me. And so I think on the 18th day of the fast, um, I'd become very lean. I'd become very accurate as well. I could hear God speak to me clearly about things. I mean, I could predict what was going to happen, to my fellow students. And then they didn't, I'd become very, very quiet. And so they didn't quite understand what was going on. But that day, I remember I was sitting in my room and the Lord had said to me, I should go to my fellowship and share the word I had was a sextimony. I said, what's the sextimony? He said, it's a testimony of your sex life. I didn't have any. And I knew my fellowship was very strict. If I share that story publicly, they would never make me a leader. And the Lord had said to me, would you rather be a leader right now? And would you rather be a leader now and forget about the future? Or would you forget leadership right now to lead in the future? And I chose to lead in the future. So it was a fellowship day. There was an announcement if anybody had something to say. So I raised my hand and I went in there. And people were clapping because they thought I was coming to do a special number. So as I began to share, the hall went very quiet. It was full of choir members, and everybody was just looking at me. Up until that time, I didn't know there were people dealing with issues that I was dealing with who were also, keeping it to themselves. I was very, very sincere with God. And but the moment I shared it, I felt a weight left me. And from that moment, a lot of people wanted to come and see me in my room to share their stories, their secrets with me, to confide in me and stuff. And that was where it all started. From left school 2000, went for youth service in Nigeria. And then I got back 2001. I was taking a walk around a place called Good Evening Street in a densely populated area in Lagos State called Ajegunle. And I saw ages 13 and 14, 15, 16 prostituting. And I felt something was odd and something was off and something was wrong. Got to my room, was complaining, was lambasting the government, saying the government was irresponsible. As I knelt down to pray that day, the Lord said to me, "You can make a difference." And I said, "No, I can't make a difference. I don't have money." Saying, "You don't need money to make a difference. You can talk them out of prostitution." Okay, so the following day, I disguised as a client and I went there, and that was I started talking these girls out of prostitution. I literally emptied the brothel that the owners started looking for me because they felt I was spoiling business for them. But they chased me from one brothel, I went to another brothel, and that was how I went and on. And until I found the capital of prostitution in Ajegunle called Good Evening Street, where all kinds of girls were there, and I started leading them, running fellowships for them and helping them up. But the more I worked with them, over 300 of the girls, I noticed almost all of them were victims of child sexual abuse. So I wanted to, um, you know, I realized that the more I took them out of prostitution, the more others went to replace them. So I first created an intervention that would prevent young people from going to prostitution in that Ajegule. So I set up what is called Gold in the Slum in 2003. And Gold in the Slum grew from 11 young people to about 480 young people every Sunday evening. Some of the young people from that meeting are now, some of them are now what you can call outliers across various sectors, across various places on the planet. Majority of them are now tech kids, whiz kids. Some of them are PhD holders and what have you. And so that was where it all started from. So every problem I saw, I wanted to respond to it. I responded to child sexual abuse, created a complete sexual education kit on what to teach a child about sex from 18 months to 18 years. I moved from there to solve parenting problems, to solve family life problems, and on and on and on and on. And that was so every problem I met, I responded to it, and that was actually what totally transformed me and took me to where I am because I always responded to issues. I don't like to complain. And so because there was no space in Nigeria for anything, nothing was organized, I decided to make a change. And so basically that's the summary of my life. Please, can you pause a minute? I need to open my door for someone, please.
Okay, all right, no problem.
Okay, sorry, I'm back.
No problem. So basically, you said the reason why your background has to do with all the things that actually happened to you when you were growing up till the time you were able to find a solution. And like what you're doing at the moment is like responding to every problem that you come across. And that
Absolutely.
brings us to the next question. So why and when did you start IFED and FSEC? We are eager to know why you decided to start this impactful venture.
Okay, so I always ask questions as a young person. I always observe. I've always been very observant and asking questions. And so I looked at Africa and I noticed that the women had no voice. The men had the final say in every family. So I always questioned, why would my father have a final say over every matter? Why was my mother, as intelligent as she was, had to defer to him? I had all those questions in my mind. Now, when I began to solve child sexual abuse problem,
Mm.
started noticing that the Nigerian, no, I wanted to do from university by year three. I knew I didn't want to practice as an accountant. I wanted to do family science. But there was no university that offers family science in Nigeria, not any course at all. I
Yeah.
checked a few African countries. I couldn't find the closest I found was the United States or the UK. And so I didn't have money. And so I was hoping that when I left school, I would find a way to go tell my dad that that was what I wanted to do. Maybe we'll raise money. Then my father passed. So by the time he passed, I got an admission to study public admin, Unilag, for my master's. Spent 2 weeks in there. I left. And so I started asking myself, okay, if I couldn't go, can I solve the problem? So I began to look for fourth 25 couples that have done 40 years and above in marriage to find out what did they do right? How did they do it? So I met the first 8 of them, and all of them were telling me it was just prayers. They were praying. If you believe in prayers, I knew that wasn't correct because I'd seen prayer warriors go through divorce. So I asked for permission if I could study them and observe them over a period of time. So I started observing them. I started asking questions. I'll sit with them. I'll ask questions. I'll observe them from afar. I was taking notes, and then I started building the framework. Now, when I finished building this framework, it was a whole lot of information. So I kept it because I wasn't sure people would buy it from me. So I kept it to myself, but I was writing for this day newspaper in Nigeria. And so I would write a bit about it. People would call me the day I don't write. People will ask me, they will bombard the newspapers to say, where's Praise Fowowe, where's column and things like that. Fortunately, the editor, Samuel Kolawole, believed absolutely me. And then I think they removed him and they brought in some other lady, Jama, who didn't want my column. She felt maybe I was too overt and stuff, but I left and I kept doing my thing. But when people came for counseling, they realized I was totally different from everything they were used to. Every other person was doing religious counseling. I was doing scientific counseling. So it was very close to therapy that they were used to abroad. And so I wasn't still comfortable or confident to throw what I had out. And so I just kept on with my child sexual abuse prevention programs that I was taking across churches, across different states of the Federation, across a number of African countries. And I just kept that body of knowledge in there. Because I was thinking, who will buy? So I heard about Family Life Coaching Association in America. And, I joined from Nigeria. And so one of the days I traveled to the US to go and see my mentor. And so I told him about this body of knowledge I developed, that I was looking for affiliation with a school abroad. That would he be willing to advise me on what school to affiliate it with? Because I believe if I bring it back to Africa and I said, okay, this is UK or US certified, people will buy into it. And my mentor looked at it, said, oh, can you share the concept with me? I shared with him, showed him the various layers of family STEM engineering certification. And he looked at me and he smiled. And he said to me, Praise, I'm well traveled. I have seen all sorts of things. There is nothing like this. This is too original. Said if you affiliate it, you'll be subjecting what is authentic to what he called mediocrity. My mentor had zero tolerance. He doesn't believe anything white is superior anyway. So he said the other option will be go put it in the market and grow slowly. So I listened to him, came back to Nigeria, and fortunately, about 3 people came to meet me who were done a course together, neuro-linguistic programming, and they were like, Praise, you are so effective. We hear your name everywhere. Can you teach us what you know? Okay, I said, okay, if you can get like 10 of you into a room, I'll spend 7 days and teach you. So they got about 13 of them into a room. So I taught them for 7 days. As in, by day 3, people were having mental overload. People were having a headache in class. It was almost as if they'd not been existing. I was bubbling, too much to share. I was just going and on and on and on. I was not tired. And then by the time I did the first session, there was a lady in class who was in the bank. And so we did an exercise. So she took a decision to leave the bank. And on the graduation day, her husband came. And my husband was like, Praise, this 1 week has been the best in my marriage. My wife was so excited about you. He said, I'm coming for this course. When is the next one? And so he brought drinks and everything. Then he said to me, he said, I'm dashing you my wife. Let her be resuming in your office. You don't have to pay her. And that was how Dima, who is our current director of studies, joined. And so we had been running Family Center then, and we felt it was time to carve out the Institute of Family Center activities because that was just to be an NGO. And what we wanted to do was to bridge the gap between African families and their need to get competent family life professionals, because many of the things people go to study at school is very foreign and alien to Africa. And so even adaptation becomes a problem. And so what is peculiar to us, eventually when I went for the Family Life Coaching Association conference and I presented the FSM model, they looked at it, and the then president looked at it and it was like, no, I've never seen anything like this before. This is a combination of therapy, coaching, systems intelligence, right? And then by the time I presented it and they rated me, I had the highest rating, at that conference, and so that was how we started. And then we went on and on and on. People would come to class, people's lives were being transformed. it was transformational because it broke every barrier of religious divide, ethnic divide. I mean, it brought people together as human beings to work together and do things together. And so that was how we started. And after a while, I started saying to my team that, hey, what if, people who couldn't fly in, how would we reach them? So let's take it online. COVID had not happened.
Mhm.
So we recorded and we took it online. It wasn't perfect, but we put it online nevertheless. And, it just became a hit. And that was how people from different countries started joining. We've done, I think, 18, 19 countries right now. There's a set going on right now. And that's the first set where we have Black Americans in class. So we're having all kinds of people, PhD holders, professors come to class and they're like, they've never seen anything like this before. And so I look up on Google and I realized that the mental health worker in Africa there's 1.4 mental health worker to
Mm.
100,000 families, 100,000 people, right? And so that's scary. And so what we're trying to do right now is to say we're going to train 1,000 competent family life professionals annually across Africa or where blacks are, and so that they can
Mm.
have help, skilled helpers and stuff. And so that was how the family life family system engineering certification course started. And that was how we eventually gave back to the Institute of Family Engineering and Development Africa.
Mm. Thank you so much, sir. The third question, I think you answered some of the part of the question in the second question I asked you. The third question is, how did you know it was time to start either IFED or FSEC and make your mission known to the world? How did you know it was time? You answered
I
part of it.
don't I believe either I observe the wind will not sow. If you're close to me and people are close to me, they'll tell you I walk in a hurry. I don't
Mm.
believe there is the tomorrow that is going. No, nobody has promised me tomorrow. I don't believe next day. I believe in today. Today is what I have control about. And so I was saying to someone that I feel lazy last week. But then I look back, why was I feeling lazy? But I'd worked all through the night because then we had this psychometry we're working on, and I needed to put the analytics together, right? Because they needed it to give it to the tech team and the AI team and all. And I'd worked on that document from maybe like 6 p.m. to 11 to like 1 a.m. Then I woke up again at 5 a.m. and I worked till 12 noon. And by the time I was done, it was a 120-page document, right? And I sent it to the team. And people were wondering, how did you do this? Now, ideally, that's a job that should take me a week to adequately finish it. But I was done in less than a day. So I was feeling very lazy. So I don't believe there is a tomorrow. If tomorrow comes, fine, but let's do what we have to do today. So for me, once there's a problem and I have the solution, I'm going to launch it. Right. And so I'm not your type of person who has a solution and is waiting for the perfect time. I don't believe there's any perfect time to launch anything. If there is a soul who needs to be saved, a family that needs to be saved, let's reach out to them. As we are going, we will make it perfect. I mean, the phone was never perfect when it was launched. And that's why you keep having a higher version of Apple. They will do iPhone 7, then iPhone 8, iPhone 9, 12, 13, 14, 15, till we move to iPhone 40. I'm sure there's iPhone 40 ideas somewhere because the imperfection that would necessitate the next grade of it is already inside the one that you are getting excited about. And that's why I don't believe in perfection. I believe in progress. All right. And so to go back to your question, I just knew the only thing I knew was when to leave paid employment, right? I knew when it was time to leave paid employment, and every other thing was responding to problems and just pushing it, being loud enough to say to people, "Hey, this thing is working, and then you can get help with this."
Thank you so much. So obviously what you're saying is there's no perfect timing. Just start when you feel the urge to start. Just go ahead
Yeah,
and start.
only the first step leads to a second, and if you don't take that first step, you will never take a second step. That's
Yes.
what I believe. So I believe that, hey, if you can see a problem in front of you, respond to it in your own little way, right? It can be a disguise. It can be a setup for what is bigger for you. I mean, since I responded to the first problem, I've been responding to other problems since then. I've not been able to stop.
Thank you so much. Just like I was reading somewhere, someone said, the tap will never run until you open the faucet. So
Yeah,
until the faucet is open, the water will never come down. So you
it
have
will
to
never.
start, keep coming. And once you start, God will bless the first idea, and then you see the second come to pass.
Absolutely. You don't have, I mean, a wise man say you don't have to be great to get started, but you have to get started on your way to becoming great. I think that was the
Yes.
wrong also.
Yes. Thank you so much. There's no perfect timing or perfect condition. Just start.
Mhm.
The next question is, what is the greatest thing about being a leader for you, and how are you relating or interacting with your subordinates in the institute to be able to sustain legacy and to leverage on everybody's strength?
Leadership is empowerment. A great leader will raise other leaders. Leaders don't raise followers, right? And for me, I believe in servant leadership. I am not that leader who will tell you do something that I can't do, right? And even when you're doing it, I'm supporting you to get it done, right? People think I'm very tough. I don't think I am. I think I'm very mild compared to who I used to be. So when I see people are still afraid of me, I smile because the me they're meeting right now is the more of a pastoral me, right? When I was a proper fiery leader, that was many years ago, they wouldn't have been able to cope, right? Because my work ethics is also very, very insane, as it were. I work so hard. And so if you can't think, you can walk around me. But one thing I have learned to do is to empower my people to take decisions on their own. And so I delegate and I watch them do it. And, and they know that I'm a stickler for time and punctuality. And there is nothing I can do that they can't do. So what I do also, I'm not the leader who keeps trade secrets or keep things away because I want them to be respecting me or something like people usually do know. I teach you all I know. And the more I teach them, the more I know, right? That's the way it's been for me. And so before I'll run the entire course myself, right? Maybe there are only 3 modules that other people will take. But now, when they are taking family system engineering, they only gave me 1 module. In fact, they are the ones who give me the modules to teach now. I don't even show up in class. If I don't show up in class, everything runs because the success of a leader is your capacity of your people to run whatever you've started, even without you. So I am not afraid of competition. I am not afraid of them becoming better than me. I'm even excited when they take me up on issues and they say, PF, this is not going to fly. I have people in my team who will tell me, oh, PF, this idea is not going to fly, right? And I'm really excited to do the idea. I say, no, 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 it's not going to fly. We're not going to do it now. It can wait later because it's not in a plan, right? And I have people like that in my team. And so it's one thing about a leader is that leadership is that you have to know that you don't know it all. And you must be comfortable for everyone around you to shine at the same time you are shining. I know in Africa we don't like that, and I know there's a lot that says never outshine the master. But then that's at a level. At some other levels, I mean, if they outshine you, it's okay because you're actually raising them to be better than you and to become the best version of themselves. And so you never compete with the people you have raised. You must be excited and must be secure in your position that even when they don't defer to you, you are glad that they found their voice, right? And that's why we see the leaders raise other leaders. Leaders don't raise followers.
Thank you so much. So what continuous improvements are put in place to ensure that the quality of the vision is sustained?
So we kill everything we're doing, we kill it and we resurrect it all the time. As a matter of fact, every three months, if you have attended any of my class, you realize that no 2 classes are the same. All right. Because from the moment we do the first class, we have seen what is wrong with it and we're improving it almost immediately. Right? We are committed to constant and never-ending improvement. Which I think it was Steve Covey that calls it canny, or it was it Tony Robbins, right? We are constantly evolving because we don't compete with people. We just want to be better than ourselves, right? And so as we teach something, we realize this can be better, and we're innovating almost immediately. And then we are able to challenge what has worked and kill it and come up with something new. So, I mean, for lack of a better word, we always have the 2.0 version of whatever we're doing, 3.0 version of it, 4.0 version, 10.0 version of it, right? And that's why we're doing the psychometry app right now, which should be ready maybe in another 10 weeks. By the time people see the new Oyela is totally different from what they've done in class because we keep evolving and we keep making it better. So, and we've added some new assessment as well and some new psychometry that professionals can use and stuff. So we are constantly evolving. Like I said, we are not committed to any perfection. We're committed to progress, and progress is always progressive. I mean, so that's what we do.
Thank you very much. So what does success mean to you, sir?
Success is what I have done compared to what I could have done. All right. And so people generally believe that success is the accomplishment of a goal, and they're not correct. They're not wrong either. However, I want to do better. I want to give my best, whether you pay me or you don't pay me. I want to show up and work for that voice that say, well done to me. That's what I want to do. Right. And that's why I will go above and beyond to ensure that what I would say when there is 1 million people in the room is not different from what I would say when there is nobody in the room. That is the way I am. So when I see a problem, I want to respond to it with every strength I have, and I want to solve that problem. Right. And once I solve the problem, the next thing is what is next in front of us. Right. So it's as long as I know that I've given it my best, I feel successful. So it's not even about the outcome at the end of the day is about who I'm becoming, who I have become, how well I've stretched myself to deliver the best possible service delivery that I could deliver at every point in time. And that's what success means to me. It might mean something else to other people and they are not wrong, but for me, that's what it means to
me. Yes. So, sir, what's one most impactful advice you have received from anybody at all when you started this journey, and what's one discouragement you've received also?
Okay, when I started out, I think my mentor called me and he said to me that, so I was looking forward to him telling me the strategy to deploy because then I was going to Ajibunle to raise young people. And he said to me, Praise, my strategy can never help you. Right? Since I wasn't the one that sent you on this assignment, you've got to figure out your own strategy. I felt that was a very bad advice, but that did help me tremendously. And the other thing was, I mean, I am multi-talented. I remember him saying to me, Praise, choose one of your talents and close your eyes to every other thing. Let that one thing take you to the market, and when you get to the market, you diversify. It was, I mean, because I used to sing, I used to have a band. I had to shut down the band. I had to shut down a restaurant. I had to focus on, this family life thing, and it was really correct. So when I look back, I'm grateful to the gift of mentoring. Discouragement, I remember starting out and they told me what I was doing would never sell in Africa. They told me the best way to do it was to go and start a church. That if you start a church and you raise people, then the money from the church and what people are giving to you, you can now use it to do this family life thing. But I said, no, I wanted to do it professionally. And so that was very discouraging because it was coming from voices I respect, voices I thought should understand, but all they were telling me is to go start a church. And they told me it would never work. And so I told myself, if I stay on this field and I push it, because I mean, nobody has done it ahead of me. If I push it and it doesn't work after 7 years, maybe I'll return to paid employment. But it began to make sense in the 5th year. All right. And so, yeah, but I look back and I'm grateful that it discouraged me. But you see, you can't blame anyone for discouraging you. If you get discouraged and you quit what you wanted to do, then you were not convinced about what you were set to do. The thing with me is that once I see what I'm set to do, it's almost impossible for you to discourage me. And so when people say, oh, they are disappointed, I said, did they appoint you? If they appoint you, they shouldn't be disappointed in you. All right. And so since nobody's appointed me, I'm free enough to be myself and to do whatever I'm persuaded to do. And when I fail, I don't see failures as a setback. I just see failures as research and development material, right? We call it feedback, right? It's another way to say, okay, this thing doesn't work this way. Find another way to make it work, right? And so that's the way I see failure. So I'm a friend to failure regularly. When I feel I rise up, I don't want to be given the perfection or anything. I don't want to be the perfect guy out there. No, I just want to be the guy who makes mistakes, bounce back, and then figure out what I missed, and then do something differently. That's the way I see life.
So what you're saying is, no matter how well advised you received, no matter what the discouragement even, you will still feel somehow along the way. or just keep going, keep moving?
Absolutely. I would rather fail on my own decision than fail on the decision of someone else, because that would be very painful. And that's why
Yes.
I always wanted every decision to be my decision, not that, oh, the woman you gave me or the what my mentor told me. No. What am I convinced to do? That's what matters. I'll go do it, right? If I fail, it would propel me to the next level. And there is no failure that has left me the same. It's always made me better. So that's the way I say it.
Yes. So the advice is for each and every one of us to like continue moving even when we make mistakes. Just
Absolutely. Yeah,
pick from
absolutely,
the
absolutely.
make progress.
You have to keep moving. Don't give up. Because you see, God will show you the end. It's not going to show you the storms on the way. But when the storms come, you can't run back. No, you have to keep moving. Keep moving. Keep moving. Because I mean, storms are actually like your gymming session. You can't develop six packs by praying. You don't develop six packs by wishing. You develop six packs by carrying dumbbell, and the your muscles and every part of you is going to rebel when you start it. You're going to feel tired. You're going to feel sick. It's part of the growth process. So, I mean, it's the way your body works when you want to change from a particular shape to another shape. So it's the same principles. And so when it happens, it's a normal thing that when you're going through life, you start excited, then storms come. But you see, storms don't last always. And if you know about aviation, you know that it's not storms. Storms will hardly crash any plane, right?
Mm.
A storm is just meant to test the plane and bash it, move it up and down. But at the end of the day, the plane must keep its navigation in the direction of where it's headed, right? And that's what you need to do. Set your face like a flint, and don't change your outcome simply because of setbacks and what have you. Just keep moving. Only you see what you see. It's like pregnancy. If you listen to funny people, you're going to lose your pregnancy. That's the way vision is, right? Pregnancy will determine what you wear eventually. No matter how much you like your skimpy things, as long as the pregnancy keeps growing, it will teach you that you can't wear those things anymore, right? The pregnancy will determine the people you talk to. It will determine your diet, what you feed your mind with. It will determine where you can go, because sometimes you are so I mean, especially first and second trimester, where you are vomiting and all, poking and all this kind of things. There are places you can't go because you don't know what can happen, right? So pregnancy disciplines you the same way vision must discipline you. And so when storms come, you just smile through it, because it's part of the growth process. And so the problem is not the problem. How you see the problem is the problem, right? So if you can change your perception of it, instead of, they want to kill me, my life is almost over, who sent me? No. There is nobody that you celebrate today who has not been through what you're going through. And so you need to know that, and nobody can exercise for you. I can't be exercising right now and then you'll be growing six packs. No, I cannot do it for you. You have to do your own. So that's the way life is.
Thank you. So how are IFED and FSEC adopting to societal changes to create strategies to help families and society thrive?
We are always ahead of the curve, and that's what I always say to people. There is nothing happening right now that we did not accurately predict. From LGBT to everything the world is witnessing right now. Everybody who took our courses in the early days will tell you I correctly predicted. I told them year by year what is going to happen, right? And those things are happening. So we're not caught unaware. What I tell people is that if you're a student of history, there's nothing happening now that never happened before. If you're a student of the Roman Empire, the Greek Empire, you would see all these things. They've always been there. It's just that because it's happening to new people, they think, the world wants to collapse. This thing has been there before. And so if you have the benefits of history, you are calm, right? Knowing fully well that, hey, we know how these things is going to end. And so you know that these things cannot overpower you. And because if you keep responding to and that's why I'm very calm, no matter, and I douse every tension. People are agitated because they are fear-driven. I'm not fear-driven, I'm faith-driven. So, they see LGBT, they are running up and down. They see this one, they are running up and down. I'm very calm because I know how these things will end, right? And so at the institute where we are on a journey, and so we're not distracted by the noise, right? Because if you are distracted by the noise, you begin to solve the problem that are symptoms and not the root cause. We do a lot of root cause analysis, and we are actually creating a new tribe. That's what we're doing. And that's why if you're creating a new tribe, you can't be distracted. And people will ask me, for praise, you are not making noise on social media. I say, see, When you are constructing a house that will stand the test of time, you don't make noise. You don't call attention to yourself. When your products begin to hit the market and they become the best in the market will naturally call attention to you, right? And so it's against the norm of our world that seeks to trend everything all the time. But that's the way I know how to go on this journey. So we are ruthlessly focused. We're innovating new solutions all the time to new problems, and we're not moved at all because we know what is ahead. We know that our psychometry tools work, and we know our model work in every culture of the world. I mean, we deployed it in most cultures right now, and it's passed the test of that culture. So we're not worried. You know, the marriage will still be marriage. You have different shades, marriage will still be marriage, right? Family will still be family. Change the definition, family will still be family. It will still involve father, mother, and children, right? Whichever way. If you now like, say father is father, father, say mother is mother, father, say anything, it would always include X and Y chromosome, right? You can't change that. No matter how much you can call it all kinds of names, but again, we're focused. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So, why is the family an essential place in the society, and how does the family play a significant role in shaping the individual and impacting their life in how they navigate society?
You know, we say that the most important nation on earth is the family because the family is the production factor of the society. There is no human being today on this planet that did not go through a family. And so when you see people manifesting trauma, most of those traumas came from the family. And so the question we always ask is, what did they do to this person? Who hurt this person? And that is why we think that the problem started from the family, and the family has got to fix the problem. If you keep trusting leaders who themselves are compromised, who themselves are traumatized to fix the problem, they'll traumatize you further, right? And that's why when people put their hope in politicians, they've not solved the problem. Obama came and said, change we can in America. You know, Donald Trump came and said, make America great again. So what was America before? You know, and then Kamala, I mean, politicians are politicians. They thrive in slogan. But you know that the power you have, you may not change the president, but you can raise a new president from your house. And so how do we raise awesome people? Family framework, family systems is what we need to embrace. And so what we have done and what we believe and what we teach is that every family see themselves as a nation and they take responsibilities for themselves as a nation, right? And then they do what is required. They will raise awesome children who will get into the society and become a new generation of society. Once we can do that, because every bad leader is picked from the people. Now, if you put 1,000 families together and none of them produce 1,000 bad children, a leader will still emerge. That leader is going to be bad. There's no prayer that can change it. The way to shift power is to raise another 1,000 families who now have good people. With that, you create an option, right? And so our world has always chosen between bad and evil, not good and bad. And so your job is to deploy the family because family is where my friend says foundations are conclusions. Family is where you learn your attitude. Family is where your worldview is shaped, right? And so if your worldview is shaped, that is not shaped by love, you're not going to love humanity. And once you don't love humanity, all you're going to be thinking about is how to steal, how to loot, how to destroy, how to mess people up. But once you are in love with humanity, you will think of how to innovate for humanity. And that is what has been missing. And that's why people can produce a drug that is going to kill people. And they are smiling to the bank and they're sharing money. And so what we need to do from the family is to raise the new generation of scientists, new generation of pharmacists, new generation of lawyers, new generation of politicians from the family who have love for humanity. Because once they love humanity, when they get in power, they will do what is right. And that is what we're trying to install back, infuse back into the family culture. And that's why we do what we do.
So what's your motto when it comes to family life?
What do you mean motto?
Motto, like what's your stand when it comes to family life?
I mean, I've mentioned it. Family is everything. Everything starts from the family. Everything rises and falls on the family. And so I always believe if we take charge of the family, we can change the world. basically. That's where I stand, right? And I always believe that anytime God wants to transform in the world, he plants a seed in a family in form of a child, right? And that's the way God responds to human cry or human prayer or human groaning. He will plant a seed. And when that seed is nurtured to fulfill his role, then the world will change.
Yes, so it all boils down to family. Whatever it is we see in the society, it all comes from the family. Everybody comes from the family.
Absolutely. 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 From the politicians to the military to doctors to nurses to accountants to everyone in the stock market, everyone using AI, everyone innovating anything. They are all from the family. The question is, how were they groomed?
Mhm. So if we want to see the society change, we should change the family.
Absolutely. It's got to be the family. If you change the family, then you've changed the society.
Absolutely. So what's one misconception or myth you've heard about marriage or parenting?
I mean, the most important one is when people say that prayer is what it takes to make a marriage work. A lot of prayer warriors are divorced. It's not prayer. And again, we don't understand prayer. Prayer is words, thoughts, and action, right? That your actions are prayers. So maybe they are partly correct, but they don't understand what they're saying. So where prayer is just mere words, you're going to fail. But where prayer is your words, thoughts, and action, and where your thought is in alignment with what you require to make your family work, right? If you do that, then your family is going to work. So just to think that prayer is the normal thing that's going to, I mean, that's ridiculous. And I hear that all the time, right?
So what's one advice you would give to somebody or to people who want to venture into something great or something like they're passionate about, but are waiting for a favorable condition or perfect timing?
He that observed the wind will not sow. That's what the Bible says. If you keep observing the wind, perfect timing. I mean, if you're looking for perfect timing, look at your wristwatch and see if there is any time there called perfect timing. You know 1 a.m., you know 2 a.m., you know 3 a.m., you know 12 a.m., 12 p.m. There's no time called perfect timing, right? You only need to take the first step. It doesn't mean you're going to succeed, you're going to fail, but it's part of growth process. I mean, every time you fail, look at a child and ask yourself, how long have you been doing this? A child tries to work. First time, he falls down, all right, because it's crawling. All he's used to is crawling. And now he's trying to work. It's going to stutter. It's going to, he's trying to talk. It's going to stutter. It's going to fall, but it doesn't mean the child has failed. When a child is learning to walk and he falls down, do you beat him and shout on him and say, you're a failure, you're not working? But you don't understand that this child is a year old. So you are not bothered, right? But as he tries, he begins to gain stability, staggers a bit here and there. And those are normal things you will face in life. The only problem is that when people go through that, they think, maybe they are in the wrong place or life has left them. I mean, think about Thomas Edison, 9,999 times he missed it, right? And he said, I only learned 999,999 ways it will not work. So it's your attitude to the problem. How do you see the problem? If you see it as the problem that, the world is after you, the devil is after you. I don't see devil. I don't see demons. I don't see any of these things. I have no business with them. I am co-creator with God. I'm going to create what I can see in my mind, right? And if I have any, error along the way, or I make any mistake along the way, it's part of growth process. I'm not going to see that the devil is trying to kill me or the demons are trying to kill me. I have no business with them. Where I'm sitting is not where they are sitting. I have never seen anybody go to their meeting and come with a selfie. And so if I can't see that, why should I believe in what I can't see, where everybody's just giving me stories that is not adding up? And so it's important for people to know that they've got a capacity to solve a problem. And then you need to go ahead and solve it. The other thing you need to do, find a mentor, someone who has walked that path before, who can balance your perspective every time you feel like giving up. You need a whole lot of them in your life. Be in the right company, and you will land in your dreams. That's what I believe. My father used to say to me when I was younger, he says, don't shoot for the stars. He says, shoot for the moon. If you can't get the moon, you will land among stars. And that has really guided me. So I'm very audacious. I want to push for our family system engineering to be the number one in the world. That's what I'm pushing for. All right. And so I am not relenting. I don't even have time to listen to cynics. There's a first law of positioning. That's a law of success. Say, blessed is the man who does not walk in the counsel of the ungodly. An ungodly person is someone who is not heading in the same direction with you. A transgressor who does not walk in the way of sinners. Someone who has missed the mark, right? And then they are talking about how things are not working. And who does not sit in the seat of the scornful. Scornful people are people who see other people is working for them, but they say, oh, they are stealing. Oh, it's because they have government. They are making all funny excuses. I'm not going to sit in there. If someone can do it, then I can do it. That's what I believe. And so if you're starting out, be you, be brilliant, be free, go out there, get it done, right? If they say no to you, go and knock the door again. The three key to possibilities in the world is the power to ask, power to seek, and power to knock. And the three of them come with elements of shame. If I ask, what if they say no? It looks shameful, but ask nevertheless. If I knock, what if they don't open the door? But keep knocking. If I seek, what if I don't find? But keep searching, right? Because if you overcome the shame that is attached to it and you keep knocking, he that asks will one day receive. He that knock will one day have the door open, and he that seek will eventually find. That's the law of nature, and it's the law of life. If you follow those three, you will land wherever you want to get.
Thank you so much. That brings me to my second to the last question. I wanted to ask you, what's the power of mentoring? Like when somebody is starting, what's the power of mentoring? How much mentoring can one have?
I think that the first thing is you have to find a secure mentor. But never go to look for a mentor when you have not discovered yourself and when you don't know where you're going, because it will be a waste of their time. And if you're not careful, if you meet a very bad mentor, they're going to traumatize you by employing you. And once they employ you, they totally buy you out of your vision, right? And so you need to be clear about what you want to do with your life. That will determine who should mentor you, right? And when you're being mentored, you know you're serving, right? And then you need to know that the goal of mentoring is formation. It's not for you to become like your mentor and begin to talk like them and begin to walk like them. Don't lose your authenticity. Every mentoring relationship must have an entry and exit. So don't do forever living mentoring where you don't know at what point you need to check yourself out. And then you might need mentors in different areas of your life. And so you need to decide that, right? The subject of mentoring is what is not taught. You need to understand that mentoring, or the name mentor, was the name of a man. It's a myth, in age-long myth. A man was going to war. His name Odysseus. He wasn't sure he's going to come back, but he has a little son called Tamalicus. His assistant at home, or what you can call a housekeeper, is Mr. Mentor. And so he gave him a blueprint and said, Mr. Mentor, I'm going to war. I'm not sure I'm going to come back, but this, my son, this is the dream I have for him. Please help me groom him to become what I have. The guy went to war, he never returned, and nobody heard from him again until maybe like 40 years after. He just showed up from nowhere. But by the time he showed up, his child has become everything he ever dreamed he's going to become, right? And it was because Mr. Mentor groomed that child to become who he needed to become. So Mr. Mentor did not groom the child to become like him. He groomed him to become the best version of himself. And that's why when you're with a mentor who cannot stand your authenticity, that's a tormentor, that's not a mentor. And so you need to choose someone who is secure, someone who doesn't have low self-esteem, someone who is okay when they give you advice and you go and do something that you're convinced of doing, right? Who can also discuss it with you. So that's what I think people need to do. And what mentoring does to you is that if it's taking your mentor 20 years to achieve something, it should take you like 2 years. So you don't have to repeat the mistakes they make. And that's why mentoring is really vulnerability. Yeah.
Thank you so much. This brings me to my last question. So if somebody after watching this video would want to contact you, how are they going to meet you? I know I have your number, and I've given your number to some people that said, oh, Mr. Praise, we would like to see him. We have a family issue, and I give your number to some people. But then for others who cannot meet me and ask for your number, how can they reach you? And maybe if they want to enroll to do the family system engineering course, how can they get in touch with you?
Well, if they want to do the family engineering course, they need to go to the website of the institute, which is www.ifedacademy.com/FESEC. FESEC is FSEC. FSEC, right? That's the website they should go to. If you want to reach me directly, my first and my last name at gmail.com, just send a mail. Or you can go on my Instagram. I am Praise Fowowe on Instagram, and you can book on my bio. I have a Calendly there. You can book to have a session with me. It's there. If you want to work with me, everything is there on my bio. Or you just shoot me a mail and then we'll respond to you and fix a session with you.
Thank you so much. I'm really glad that at least I am part of this journey, or you are part of the journey of my life, if I would say that, because I'm your student. I'm still learning from you because every time I see you online, I'm running to go. Even when I'm at work, I try to put my headphone. Most times, actually, like most of the time you're doing your videos, I'm mostly at work and I put my headphone and I'm just doing my work, but then I keep paying attention and listening. I'm always learning from you. I'm glad to have found you on Navigate with FFA. That was where I found you 2001, now 2021, when Mommy Funke Adejumo had you after the episode in April 2021 when that lady died. And I'm really grateful because I've been learning. I'm still your student. I'm part of the institute because I know I'm learning from there. I'm a student there. I'm so glad to be your student and to learn from all your subordinates, and to do and the rest of them. I'm really glad to be learning from all of you. Thank you so
Thank you.
much for the opportunity once again, because I know this is a rare privilege. Thank you so
Thank you.
much for taking time to do this interview. I've learned a lot. I'm learning. We are going to continue learning, and whoever is going to watch this video will learn as well. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for that. I'm really
Thank
grateful.
you. Thank you very much. In the same. Thank you. I really, really appreciate you. And I'm really proud of what you're doing. Okay. And I hope that you can take over New Zealand and show them what's possible. Thank you very much for having me.
Less. I'll end the recording, and after everything, once I get the recording, I'll send it to you.
No problem. No problem.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Yeah, bye.
Bye.